All right, well, welcome on to this Q&A. Again, I want to welcome on to this Q&A. A few things to go through. See how far we get. One is, as I was working my way through a bunch of questions the last week or so, or maybe a little bit more. Somebody had asked about being a Noahide and made the claim that it is silly. Being a Noahide is silly. Not enough people, doesn't have a community. Most of them live Christianity, want to have a community, but there isn't one. Okay. So, I'll just go through this. They find a Chabad house somewhere, it's not going to matter because Chabad has their own laws. They have time for Noahides, blah, blah, blah. So, what do? People don't want to deal with them, so they sort of become Hasidic. Some of them, they make candles for Shabbos. We have special Shabbos meals, even the Noahide prayer book. Okay. Different things. Some strange delusion. How can some of these people live this way? They're not Jewish, but they don't want to be Jewish. Right? There's no benefit these people doing all these extra things. All right. So let's analyze. Let's analyze for a second. Does God automatically want everyone to be Jewish? Yeah. What's the answer? No. God wanted everyone to be Jewish, they would have been. Very simple answer. So there is an idea of a Ger Toshav. Ger Toshav is a non-Jew. Difference of opinion what a Ger Toshav is. Whether he keeps the 7 Noahide laws or he goes against idolatry. Right? Whatever, a Ger Toshav does not apply today. We mentioned this many times because we don't have a sabbatical year, even though we don't have a Jubilee year. We do have a sabbatical year, but we don't have a Jubilee year. Anyway, the technical issues with that as well, about, the majority of Jewish people living in the land of Israel, which, up until this point really didn't have. So in any case, you don't have Ger Toshav. A Ger Toshav can only be when there is a Jubilee year. Good. Now, let's say a Ger Toshav is somebody that goes against idolatry or keeps the Noahide laws. Very good. A non-Jew has laws to keep. Remember one thing, a non-Jew has to keep the Noahide laws because God passed it over to Moses and passed it down to us. And it was codified at Mount Sinai. So making a statement like this, I understand the anger. I understand the frustration. Better be darn well careful what you say. Because Noahide is not silly. It is a viable option, right? It's a viable option. Of course, it doesn't have to convert. We're not looking for converts. Somebody wants to. They want to be the real deal. Good. They don't want to convert. They still want to eat shrimp. Also good. Right? And ain't non-Jews out there not going to convert. They have a purpose as a non-Jew. Again, I would recommend people read the book. It's a very hard book to go through. I think give classes on it for a year and a half, more, called The Way of Hashem. Right? The Way of God. Derech Hashem, the Ramchal. And he has a whole chapter there. What's the purpose of the nations? Yeah? So now, so we'll answer the first part of the question. Or it's not really a question, more of a statement. Right? And that is, it's silly. No, it's not silly. It has a purpose. The 7 Noahide laws, by the way, are just an umbrella. They're about between 50 and 60 altogether. And Kaufman would say there are a lot of things that non-Jews should do as a moral imperative, regardless of whether they're obligated by Noahide laws or not. Right? For example, they shouldn't curse. Shouldn't speak badly against others. It's not one of the Noahide laws. You're right. It's not one of the Noahide laws. Still not good. So there are universal laws that even may not apply, that make a non-Jew a better person, even if they don't apply. Right? Even they won't get so much credit for doing it. Doesn't matter. Fact is, it makes them a better person. Now, what is true, you're right, there's not enough people, right? And no eye to spread over. They'll never have a community. I don't know, never. There are some in the world that do exist. right? There's one in America. I think it's one in Canada, one in South Africa. You're right, but where are Noahides? They're spread all over the world. True, right? That is true. Now, some will claim you can't make them into a community, right? Why not? Because they aren't going to be like Jews. They're all end up converting. I don't think so, right? I will disagree with that. And the reason is because if it's done right, someone teaching them, someone giving them guidance, they won't overstep their boundaries. Are there Noahides that overstep their boundaries? Yes. Should they? No. But you have to have boundaries. You have to know what you're allowed to do, what you're not allowed to do. Now, some of them will analyze this statement. Some of them left Christianity, want to have a community. Well, there isn't one. Okay, that's true. Right? It's very hard to find communities. People spread out all over. That's true. So what's the closest thing? What do they find? Chabad is everywhere. They find a Chabad house. Very good. They're open. They'll help them. But that won't matter anyway. Why? Because they're there to guide Jews. You're right. But they're the only group, as the Lubavitcher Rebbe, was very big in having them reach out to non-Jews. Reach out to non-Jews and have them keep the Noahide laws. They were very proactive. There's no other group out there proactive at all, except for them. Now, you could argue, is there a mitzvah to do that? Who says there's a mitzvah to do that? I would say better be proactive about working with Jews that don't know anything than non-Jews. Not my mitzvah to go out and draw them close. Not my mitzvah. They come to me, they want to learn, good. They want it from other rabbis, good. I have to look out for them. That's my obligation. So we've spoken about this, so I'm not going into it. But you're right. Chabad, what's their goal? To guide Jews that don't know anything about Judaism. You're right. Well, they also work with non-Jews. They don't just push them away. The other Orthodox rabbis do. It doesn't matter. They don't push people away. Right? They won't push people away. Right? And they don't have time for Noahides. Good. That's an issue. You're right. It's an issue. Someone's got to deal with them. Can't just push them away. I agree. But they do help them. They're probably, the main group that actually does help them. So that point is misconstrued as being welcome. I don't know about that. They're not being fake. Thinking one thing on the outside, one thing on the inside. They're not being fake. Right? They will work with them. Right? Probably one of the only groups that will. Okay. So I would have issue with that. So then Noahides go on to mimic some weird versions of Hasidic Noahidism. So I don't know if even that's a real word. But it doesn't matter. What do? They light candles. For Shabbos. After sunset, kids keeping Shabbos would be stealing, right? If a non-Jew wanted to light Shabbos candles after Shabbos, showing that obviously they're desecrating Shabbos as a symbol, is that forbidden? I don't know if it's forbidden. They're breaking Shabbos to do it. Yeah. They don't make the blessing. Okay. Can't make the blessing. Right? That's for sure. Yeah. They have a special Shabbos meal. They can do that. What's the problem? If an non-Jew wants to commemorate Shabbos by having nice food, I'm not talking about making blessings or anything else. They want to have a nice Shabbos meal. They have a 4-course meal for Shabbos. Is there anything wrong with that? Technically? What's the matter? That's what Jews do. What are they doing? What are they doing wrong? Yeah, they're breaking Shabbos on purpose. They are commemorating the fact that God gave Shabbos. Very good. They're not refraining from certain categories of forbidden work. That would be a problem. But if they have a special Shabbos meal, what's the problem? They want to read the Torah portion of the week for that Shabbos. Oh, well, what's the problem? We're not talking about, again, doing it like a Jew. So what if they read the Torah portion of the week? That's forbidden for them? Why? Why should it be forbidden? Oh, that's what Jews do. Very good. What are they doing wrong? Right? I get it. They're mimicking. Okay, so what? But they haven't done anything wrong yet. They use special Noahide blessings. Yeah, that might be an issue. That might be an issue. But if they want to say something praising God because God gave the Sabbath, I don't know. I don't know why they, again, you don't make it the same blessing as Jews. Okay. Can they praise God? Yes. Rabbi would say they want to say Shema, they can say the Shema. Not all three paragraphs, but declaring God is one. That's not a problem. That's recommended. That's recommended. Now, making up their own blessing, can they praise God? Yes. Why can't they praise God? Yeah. Making blessings? I don't know. Praising God. It's not going to be the same as a Jew. You got to say, oh, but it's similar. They can say what they want. They can pray more, they can pray less. They're not going to pray like us. They can't say the same things we do. A lot of things in the prayer book, are in plural for the sake of the Jewish people as a whole, not for non-Jews. Can they pick and choose different things from the Torah, from the prophets, to say as many times as they want? Sure. Can they pray as many times as they want during the day? Sure. Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that. Right? They'll say, oh, it's special, different, because they can't say commanded us. Right. But if they praise God, what's the problem? See, the problem is what you're referring to this is called Kiddushei Das. This is the Rambam says it's called the new religion. If they're staying within the parameters, right? If they stand on the parameters, within the parameters, yeah, they stand within the parameters, nothing wrong with it. So again, they want to have a special Shabbos meal. What they do wrong? They want to read the Torah portion of the week. What they do wrong? Even a Noahide prayer book. Yeah. If I were to take out, certain verses from, King David, certain verses from King Solomon, certain verses from other prophets, I put it together in the prayer book. What did I do wrong? For Noahides, what did I do wrong? You got to say, but a prayer book is for Jews. And if non-Jews made up, as long as not blasphemy, and they made up different things to say as part of a prayer service, is that a problem? Not a problem. Why is it a problem? They want to pray. What can they pray? Seemingly whatever they want. Right? It's not fixed prayer by a non-Jew. They can't, they can't say the same things we do. Good. Very good. So they have a Noahide prayer book. So again, if they pick and choose different verses, this and that, put it together in a prayer book, what's the problem? As long as they're not doing what we do and saying the same things we do per se, not a problem. Shouldn't be an issue. They have a Noahide prayer show. Yeah, that'd be an issue. That I take issue with. Yeah, I know Noahide Torah. I don't know anyone who's got Noahide Torah. Noahide Torah scroll doesn't make any sense. Contradiction in terms. That I would have an issue with. Noahide sneers. Modesty. Call the room. Noahide modesty laws. Women covering the hair. That's going too far. That I would agree. Going too far. Yeah, it's insane. Some strange delusions. It's delusional. Why is it not delusional? Because they want to feel like they're doing something. Jews got, these services, whatever. We say all these different things. We bow, we stand, this, that. Very good. No, they want to have something for themselves. Okay. They can pretty much do whatever they want within reason. What's stopping them? If the fact they have a prayer book and they take verses from all over Tanakh and they put it together in a prayer book, very nicely. Yeah, this represents this represents that, whatever. They want to have a prayer service once a day. Is that a problem? That's making a new religion? Why is that making a new religion? They don't need to. They don't need to get together to pray. They can pray on their own. But it's more powerful when you pray together. Very good. Very good. Yeah, I would agree if they go too far as making up a new religion. Now, it's not delusional because they want to feel the part of something. And they don't have so much ritual to do, which is true. So they want to feel they're doing something. Instead of just this person doing this, that person doing that, everyone making up as they go along. I get it. It's not delusional. They want to have something. And there's no benefit for these people doing all these extra things. Yeah. That I would also disagree with because they feel it's beneficial. If they got 20 people together and they did all these different readings from the prophets and in Tanakh, and it made them feel great and more spiritual. Well, what did they do wrong? That's delusional? No. They want to have a connection to God. So good. You don't want to straddle the fence and do too much because then you're making up a new religion. And then when you start communities, they're going to want to convert anyway, and some people would say they can't start doing things till right before conversion. It's not true. It's just not true. How are they going to learn to do things if they don't dress the part at some point? So that I would disagree with also. And then say, well, they're going to end up converting anyway, so there's no point. Also not true. If you have someone leading them properly, guiding them properly, you'll keep them on that path. And if someone want to convert, good. Are the vast majority going to convert? No. They're not going to convert. Why are they going to convert? Because they can't. There's no reasons why they can't. Some will, I agree. Some people make it seem as like, no, if you do that, you inspire them, they're all going to convert. I don't know. I'm not convinced of that. Definitely not convinced of that. Some will. That I would agree. Some would. All of them? So you got to be careful. You got to be careful over here because what's going to happen is they'll make up things. They'll do things too far. And that's going to make it up in a religion. That's a problem. That I agree. Depends how far they go. So I wouldn't say it's delusional. How can these people live this way being not Jewish? They can't. If they go too far, it's forbidden. I agree. But if they don't, I don't see why it's a problem. I wouldn't see why I can see what it could lead to, but I don't see why it's a problem. Even in the eyes of Judaism, there's no benefit for these people in doing all these extra things. Okay. You're right. So I agree. But if they're doing what they're supposed to, and they're having a Shabbos meal, so what? They're doing other things that don't matter. It's not forbidden. So what's the problem? Well, it's a benefit for them. It is a benefit for them. You want to say it's no benefit for these people doing these extra things. Not true. They would tell you it's going to draw them closer to God. That's why they do it. But again, you can't go too far. I agree. Since even Jews know Noahides are doing made-up stuff. Even if we think that. And let's say a bunch of people, I don't know, once a week, twice a week get together. They get together, they have a prayer service. Yeah? So we know they're taking, who knows what they're saying? Take from this, they take from that, take from the other thing, very good. So, what's the problem? What if they make it up? Is that an issue? Not an issue. Oh, the mimicking Jews. They want to have a connection to God. They want to have a prayer service. What's the problem? Why should that be forbidden? Just empty gestures as a consolation for feeling religionless and empty. They want to draw close to God. They don't have ritual. They have very little ritual, if any. Yeah? It's not a consolation. They want to have this connection. Right? Going too far, I agree, is a problem. I understand. So what Noahides do is, if they're not Jews who believe in God, and they're not Christian, good for them. So what's there to do? Live a happy life without crazy rules. They're not making crazy rules. And you're going off on a tangent there, an extreme. They're not making crazy rules. The ones who are doing it right, they're doing it as an act to draw close to God. That's what they're doing. They're praising God. What's the problem? The only issue is if they go too far. I agree. Well, some of these things are not going too far. Some are. I agree. But that's why they need guidance. That's why there are people qualified, to speak about the Noahide laws, what they are, what you can do, what you can't do. Pretty thorough. You have to learn it. You have to go through it. Yeah. Don't worry about Shabbos, go out on Saturday, the park, on the beach, enjoy what God created. Okay. What do they want to, what if on Shabbos they want to commemorate it by having a special meal? What in the world they do wrong? They didn't do anything wrong. But I like the end the best. That's my opinion. You're right. That is your opinion. So some of it I would agree with. Right? Other things, if they do it, I don't see why it's a problem. Right? I understand. They don't have communities. I understand why, what the problem with communities could be. I understand they have no ritual or very little ritual. I get it. But if they're doing things that are not forbidden and it's not making up a new religion, so let them. A person wants to say, well, we don't care anyway. We have Jews to worry about. That's true, but they have to be dealt with. I've been cursed out many times. People say Jewish people are lightened to nations. You got to deal with us. You got to look out for us. We got to draw them close. It's not my mitzvah. If they come, they want to learn good, right? I don't believe you should blow them off. If someone does, send them someone who can teach them. That's what should be done. They're not empty gestures. What a non-Jew wants to do and they want to go further, the reason they want to go further is because they feel they don't have anything. True. They don't have ritual. They don't have prayer 3 times a day. They don't have holidays per se. They don't have any of this. True. So if they want to draw close in a way that's permissible, we should discourage them. So a person says, okay, so tell them, don't worry about Shabbos, don't worry about this, just, go out and have a good time. They say, we will. But I want to have a nice Friday night meal. I want to have a nice Friday night meal commemorating creation. They're not doing anything else. You want to say, hey, that's what Jews do. But that's all they're doing. If you tell me they're staying away from forbidden categories that you're not allowed to do on Shabbos, that I hear. If they go too far in anything, that I hear. I don't have an issue. I have an issue with that. That's true. But if they're not doing it, why discourage them? Why say they're delusional? They're not delusional. There are people who say it's Noahides. Not delusional. They can't convert or they don't want to convert. They don't have to. But they have to stay within the parameters. That's the point. They have to stay within parameters. Yeah. So that's what I would say on that. Somebody asks, someone asked about the inauguration, right? We won't get into politics here. Try and keep myself safe. Someone says that they called on the wisdom of Solomon. Okay. They called on the wisdom of Solomon. Good. The person who got a blessing that, he goes in the right path, does what he's supposed to do in God's eyes. Because we know, Leiv Malachim B'yad Hashem. The hearts of kings are in the hand of God. God pushes them and pulls them in different directions to get them to do his will. Right? Kind of like puppets in a certain way. They think they're in control. God's convincing them otherwise. Do this, do that for his world outlook. Why? Don't know. But whatever it is. Right? But yeah, that's to use real wisdom. That's the blessing. Use real wisdom. And use it in the right way, the way God wants you to. Not about ego or ego, whatever you want to call it. Not about any of this. Do it because it's the right thing to do in God's eyes. Yeah, did he say we're going to do things that make sense? Things that make sense. A lot of things that don't make sense. A lot of things we see don't make sense. What's been going on? Come on, everyone, stood up and clapped when he said, there's two genders. That was a huge thing. The Democrats like scowling. No, they're not. They're two genders. Period. That's a good thing. Definitely a good thing. Right? So if he does what he's supposed to do in the right way, great. Changes things for the better, good. No one's saying he's a choir boy. No one's saying it's I was just telling someone earlier. You can hate his personality. A lot of people hate his personality. People voted for him hate his personality. Not all of them, some of them, whatever. Question is he fit for the job? That's the bottom line. Well, I told someone, who cares what he does? They did this, he did that, he did 10 other things. Yeah. Is he going to be the righteous of the generation? No. Not going to be the righteous of the generation. Is he good for the job? That is the question. That's why they voted him in. Because they think he's going to be better for the job. We'll see. Time will tell. Got to be better than what was before. In so many ways, but, we're not going to get into politics. Yeah, cut the air in that room with a butter knife. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. What's worse, Christians or Satanists? Both praise a creation. Well, what do Christians believe? We know what Christians believe. Let's say better. We know what Christians believe. It's idolatry. Absolutely idolatry. Right? Idolatry, death penalty. Now, Satan, also death penalty. Right? If you're a Satanist. Because that believes you're worshiping something or giving something power outside of God. God has ultimate power. First, the Rambam's 13 Principles of Faith. God created angels. Everything, the heavens and the earth. First verse in Genesis. Rashis bara Elokim eza shemayim ve'eza haaretz. God created the heaven and the earth. Everything. Even spiritual forces. So there's no spiritual force outside of God. They can't have power outside of God. No such thing as the fallen angels we mentioned before. So yeah, but they're giving it power that doesn't have. That's idolatry. Right? Which one is worse? I don't know. They're both bad. Right? They're both, they're both part of idolatry. They're both bad. They're certainly both bad, both death penalty. Which one is worse? Believing in a false religion or giving something power it never has. Never has independent power, right? Satan is an angel. He's an angel, and angels don't have free will. Now, what's his job? So we know Satan has the evil inclination, the angel of death, whatever you want to call him. His job is to get people to sin. That's his job. That's what he does. Convinces people to do the wrong thing. And then when God tells them, he takes their lives. That's what he does. But he doesn't have independent power. How do I know? Look at the book of Job. Beginning of the book of Job. Right? Satan says, I want to do this and that and the other thing to Job. So what does God say? Fine. You can do everything, you can't kill him. You don't have that power to kill him. So he's not independent power. In that sense. He can't do whatever he wants. He's limited. God's unlimited. When you put power in something that doesn't have, we call that idolatry. Right? So they're both bad. Which one's worse? I don't know. I'm not sure. They're both idolaters. They're both death penalty. Thinking an angel has power that it doesn't have, that's pretty bad. Thinking that God can manifest himself in a person, immaculate conception, all the other lies, that's also pretty bad. Right? Maybe Christianity's worse. I don't know. Could be satanic worship, but, there are other things that, more disgusting. Much more disgusting what they do. But, I don't know, good question. All prayers they were said only in the name of God. Now, if you listened, so I can see what I was doing yesterday. If you listen what this priest said, he said the name JC. And just say the name of God. right? If you listen to what he said, he did not say
He
just
mentioned the name Jesus. He did
right.
exist, but he did not call him God, and he did not say pray to this man. He said pray to God. Period. Even the Catholics did not say their words.
So I have to go back and see. So I have to go back and see what he said. It seemed to me that he said in his name, praise God in his name.
I have direct recordings from Trump.
So do I. So it's not too hard to go
Then
look.
let's listen to them.
So if he said it, good. So if that's only what he said, then that's not so bad. But if he said, God in the name of JC, then that's bad.
Called him his son.
If that's what he said.
That's what
Right.
he said.
So I'll go back and see what he said. So if that's not what he said, then good.
The
Then that's
Catholics
bad.
even walked off stage when it time for them to say their end. They shut up.
So good. So I get a chance, I'll go back and look at it, and see. So if he didn't say that, so fine. But if he did say it, then that's a problem. That would be a problem.
He pissed Trump off, and he's no longer going to do nothing ever again.
Could be. Could be. All right. Someone asked, what's the limit of angels' power? Angels are, again, it's no different than a dog in spiritual terms. A dog does not have free will, right? Dog cannot go out of its nature. There was a time in history man had power over animals as well, that animals mimic what people did, right? The Beis HaLevi commentary on the Torah was the father of Rav Chaim Brisker, more than 300 years ago, more than 350 years ago. So he said, why did the animals get punished by the flood? So the animals went off against their own species, meaning they tried to interbreed.
I thought the flood was to punish humans.
It was, but why did animals die?
They didn't have enough room in the ark. All the animals survived.
Whoever God wanted to survive, they survived, but the animals shouldn't have perished. Whoever didn't come in the ark.
Mm-hmm.
So why did they perish? Animals are programmed. They don't have free will. If animals don't have free will, it's not punishable. The animals got punished, says the Beis HaLevi. Why did they get punished? Because they interbreeded. They tried to or let's say they didn't interbreed. They tried. Giraffe with a rhinoceros. I don't know how it's going to work exactly, but different animals try to interbreed, right? So for that reason they got punished. But again, if they don't have free will, how do they know that? How would they know how to do such a thing?
Yep.
So the Beis HaLevi says the reason is because man actions had power over animals. And animals saw and imitated what man did. That's why they got punished. That's the only. That's why they got some of them who didn't come into the ark. That's why they got destroyed. Now there was a case a number of years ago, 20 years ago, 25 years ago. I remember exactly that there was a breed of pelicans. I think it was pelicans in San Francisco, of course, that the males were trying to breed. Now that shouldn't happen. According to nature, that doesn't exist. Should never exist. Right? So normally we would say, man does that not have that kind of power today. That animals are going to be influenced by man's actions. Yeah. But just mentioning that case, in that case, you see that some level man did have influence. I'm not saying across the board, you see one case. Saw one case of pelicans, same-sex pelicans trying to breed. Shouldn't happen. Right? The Beis HaLevi seem to say that at the time of the floods, man had that kind of influence over animals, and after that stopped. But, yeah, we see such a case that's not the case, right? That this happened. It's actually happened. Yeah, somebody asked, will life in Olam Haba be physical like this world or fully spiritual? Difference of opinion. Some say there will be no difference in this world, like the Rambam, right? There will be no difference between this world and the next. We'll just have a different type of body, whatever type of body that is. But it will not be it won't be any different, seemingly, than this world. Others say it's going to be more spiritual. So who's right? Don't know. Nobody knows. Right? Rabbi would say, no one's been in that world and come back. So we don't know what it's going to be. Right? There is a very strong difference of opinion. on that. Is the book of Zohar rooted in divine attributes of divine kindness? Anyone who studies the book of the Zohar will pass the times in exile in peace. I don't know about that. I don't know about that. The Zohar is a, very esoteric commentary on the Torah, much deeper commentary, right, on what's going on. On what's going on. So that anyone who studies Zohar will pass the time of exile in peace. I don't know. There's no guarantee. Right? How a person dies and what's going to be, no guarantee. I know somebody that Rabbi of mine just passed away relatively young, right, early 70s, and had a lot of suffering, tremendous amount of suffering, health-wise, otherwise and otherwise, but mostly health-wise. And he was very, very much steeped in Kabbalah. So there, I could bring a proof from that and say, just because you're steeped in Kabbalah does not mean you're going to pass this world in peace. Doesn't mean it's going to go any easier if you're learning Kabbalah. I would say just the opposite. If anyone is steeped in Kabbalah and you're not holding by it, or you do even something minor, but you're supposed to be holding at a higher level, you are in serious danger. Serious danger. Right? Is allowed to study the book of the Zohar? No. Only if a person, first of all, a person should be over the age of 40, but a person should have tremendous amount of knowledge in Torah. First, you have to have a tremendous amount of knowledge in Torah. Even with a lot of knowledge in Torah, you have to be of humble spirit. You have to be, humble, but you have to be holding somewhere, relatively high spiritual level. So you need knowledge in general, tremendous amount of knowledge. What we call revealed Torah, Torah Sanigla, right? Revealed Torah. Once a person has that level of knowledge, gone through the entire Talmud, probably a number of times, and they're a bona fide rabbinic scholar, let's say, then they want to dabble into that. That's one thing, but you have to be spiritually ready. It's not just having, revealed knowledge and knowing different tractates and this and that. It's not about that. I mean, it's part of it, right? You have to have a certain level of knowledge, okay, but you have to have, you have to be a certain type of person, spiritually speaking, to be able to handle it. And there are a lot of people out there they won't touch it because they're afraid. They should be afraid. They absolutely should be afraid because it's one thing if you learn it like a medrash. You're not learning it, according to the Kabbalistic ideas, whatever. You learn it as a commentary. That's one thing. You're not learning it according to, how it's going to be practiced Kabbalistically and this and that. So that's less of a danger. That is much less of a danger. But if you're going to learn it in the normal sense, and you're not on a spiritual level to do it, it could literally kill you. Right? So it's interesting because I get this question all the time that, people want to learn all these esoteric things. Okay. Yeah, it's great. People want to, raise themselves to high spiritual levels, learn on a deeper level, this and that. But we're talking about people who can't read the alphabet. You cannot study higher mathematics, i.e. calculus, without geometry or trigonometry or algebra. You cannot run till you learn how to walk or crawl. You got to learn how to walk and crawl, right? Or, crawl and walk, got out of order, right? In order to be able to run. You can't jump through levels there. You got to take it step by step, right? You got to learn a lot. You have to learn a ton. Once you learn a ton and you have a lot of it under your belt, okay, but you have to be a refined spirit. You have to be holding somewhere in the world, spiritually. Otherwise, it's a danger, tremendous danger. So, I would tell most people, if you're ready to learn it, good. Right? If you're on that level, okay, I don't have a problem with that. If you're on the level. If you're not on the level, I wouldn't touch it with a barge pole. Right? I wouldn't touch it till a person's ready. I know somebody, old friend of mine, told me, at some point, he's over 40. I mean, it's probably close, 60, pretty much. But, doesn't know nothing, right? Can't read Hebrew, doesn't know nothing, right? But it's like now it's time to learn. Figure now, like I want to take a class on Kabbalah. Right? It's kind of silly. They have these Kabbalah centers and quacks that are teaching it, and but Donna thinks she's learning Kabbalah and getting a little bit of knowledge and this and that. Okay, I do have a problem with that, but it's not real Kabbalah. Even tell me they take certain ideas and really, really water it down or whatever. It's still not Kabbalah, right? It's still not the essence, the essence of what it is. So people think, yeah, we're in Kabbalah and about the 10 spiritual world. They don't know nothing from nothing. Nothing from nothing. I'm not even going to say it's a date. Okay, they want to do it. Good, good luck. So I'm doing. I'm not getting the real thing, so I'm not so worried about it. Right? But if they were getting the real thing and they're not holding it anywhere, it's a danger for everybody. Sure, it's a danger for everybody. Right? I remember asking my Rabbi a certain question about something. It's like, what, you're learning Kabbalah? I was like, no, it's one of the commentaries who's, very much stick to Kabbalah. So like, when he analyzes, what we call a Gadata in the Gemara, it's like one of these stories, whatever it is. So, so either he gives simple explanation, right? Or it's Kabbalah. It's like nothing in between. Right? So I asked him a question. Like, what do you mean by this? It's like, well, it's a good thing you heard about it. So I said, okay, and what's the answer? He said, I'm not telling you. He said, it's not for you now. He said, you heard about it, it's a good thing. I said, but you could explain it to me. He said, yeah, but you don't have enough time. He's like, you don't have enough time. So I go off my watch and put it on the table. It's like, come on, I got all afternoon. It's like, your wife's calling you, go home. So he said, he gave me a blessing. He said, you should also learn that, everything the right time. That's not the right time. But there are two things here. There's a certain level of knowledge. That's one thing, which you have to have a lot of knowledge. And a lot of knowledge to delve into this stuff. Okay. Well, there's a whole nother aspect of it. And that is, where's the person holding spiritually? Where are they holding in the world spiritually? And if they're not holding where they need to, you can say, well, maybe no one's ever holding that. You make mistakes, you say this, do that. You got to be somewhere in the world. You got to have some level of stature in spiritual terms. If not, telling you you're playing with fire. On the other hand, someone would say, I'm not learning it for that aspect. I'm not interested in the Kabbalistic aspect. I'm just learning it like a parish, like an explanation. Like a medrash. I'm learning it like I would learn a medrash. That might be a different issue. But that's not learning it. That's not learning it the way it should be learned. You learn it as more of an esoteric thing, a much deeper explanation. Okay, but without going into all the Kabbalistic aspects. That you could do. That someone could do. Right? But again, a person has to be ready for it. That's why I think it's kind of ironic that, we mentioned before about Chabad house, which I don't have anything against Chabad, right? Per se, but they'll teach people, anybody, they'll teach the Rebbe's Torah, which again, I don't know if I have an issue with, right? And in the first Rebbe, what did he give over? Or the main book he gave over was the Tanya, right? Also, a commentary on the Rambam and other things, but that's what he's known for. His commentary is this book on Hasidus and Kabbalah, right? It's not the first book to start out learning Hasidus. It's a very hard book to go through. If a person is already, into Hasidus and this and that, they learn it, it's one thing. Yeah, it's supplementary. That's one thing. If they're just starting out, they don't know their nose from the elbow. That's not the first book I would learn, the Jewish philosophy. It's a hard book to go through. You can tell me, come on, I learn it every day. I can send to me this, that. Okay, so everyone at their level, but you gotta be holding somewhere to get, what it really meant. So I would agree to a certain point where, if someone's giving over and they know what they're doing, and they can tremendously water it down and make it known. Okay, but it wouldn't be but the people would say, you recommend people to read the Book of God, right? Derech Hashem. True. Also very much steeped in Kabbalah. True. Right? But no one's going to get the Kabbalah, Kabbalistic parts. They're not going to understand the Kabbalistic parts, which is fine, but they'll get an idea how the inclination works. They'll get an idea, about angels, and how all that works, the spiritual world, the purpose of non-Jews, what the world looked like before Adam and Eve sinned. Okay. These are good things to know. Kabbalistic part, these are basic things I think everyone has to know. I think most Jews don't go through it. It's a hard book to go through. Right? It's a very hard book to go through. right? But you got to be somewhere. People, if you tell people, listen, this is something you should never ever learn in your life. Of course, everyone's gonna go and learn it, right? So, it's so esoteric, and so this, it's great. I feel like I'm on another planet. I feel like I'm learning this. And so what, right? But you're delving into something you should be delving into. You got to be ready for it. All right, some things that I've heard that changes the meaning of the way you look at things. The book Nefesh HaChaim, written by Rav Chaim of Volozhin, famous student of the Vilna Gaon, right? He talked at the very beginning about do your actions matter, right? And one of the examples he gives is about Adam and Eve eating from the tree. Now, when he analyzes it, obviously he's analyzing according to Kabbalah that all the spiritual worlds were in the tree. We're in the tree of knowledge. Once they ate from the tree of knowledge, all the spiritual worlds got messed up, whatever. We fix it up by making blessings, right? By keeping Shabbos, by trying to solidify these worlds. Like, very, very simple. Yeah. But that, you understand something like that, even in the base level, in a very, very small level. You look at the tree of knowledge being something else, not just a beautiful tree of fruit, okay. But essentially, that one act brought death to the world. Very good. Brought death to the world, but what does it represent? So he goes, this whole thing. Yeah, so you look at it very differently, okay. Yeah. Yeah. So if you know Kabbalah and this and that, and what he's quoting, this and that, okay, you get a lot more out of it. You get tremendously more out of it. And if you don't, okay, very nice. It sounds good, right? So, it sounds impressive, but you see a lot deeper things going on. So if someone came in contact with that, my Rabbi would say, okay, good. You heard about it. You know about it. Think about it a little bit. Analyze a little bit, and then you move on. Because, the depth of what you're going to get out of it, that you won't get it. You won't get it unless, if you're not Stephen Kabbalah, you won't get it. Right? You get something. You might get something. The more I learn, sometimes I see certain things, and makes me look at it in a different way, but that's only because I have knowledge in other things. If you have knowledge in other things, then you see something like that, and just like opens certain doors, okay, right? But the deep explanation of Kabbalah, I'm not going there, right? That's first of all, it's not for me to go there, right? But to understand, and then, it answers up certain other things, good, right? That's where it ends. That's where it ends. If I was only learning that and other commentaries on that, and you go deeper and deeper and this and that, okay, right? You're not doing that. But I tried to show people when I was in Chile that they were interested in Judaism because there was a Kabbalah center there. So I spoke about coming out of Egypt and different things at the end. My broken Spanish, my Hebrew, and English, and back and forth in different languages. After a couple hours, I said I just wanted to show you how deep the Torah is even without Kabbalah. I wanted to show, okay, that's how they were drawn close. Very good. But you got to know the basics. You got to know the basics very well. Once, some of the things, even before you learn Kabbalah, you have to know besides the basics, right? Certain great commentaries in Jewish philosophy, certain things, certain basic things you have to have. Even before you delve into that, but you have to sit on it. You have to learn it. You have to, it's not. Oh, I'm hitting a certain age. I want to learn it, but you're not ready for it. You're not even close to ready for it. You go through, a rigorous program. You're learning and this and that day and night, and however much time, whatever. You have a certain level of knowledge. Then you get there, okay. But you have to be holding somewhere spiritually. You can't just jump into something, and something like that will literally kill you if you're not prepared, right? Which a lot of people, unfortunately, I don't think are prepared when they do it. And they should never touch it. Unless they're ready. If they're ready, good. Right? I don't have a problem with that. If they're ready. If they're not ready. If they're not ready, it's a different issue. Right? That's a different issue. All right, so whatever. I'll go back and look at that quote again. But if it is the way you quote it, it says we ask and help and pray. In the name of the King of Kings, the Lord of Lords, your Son, my Savior, our Redeemer, JC. Amen. He didn't say JC, but the Reverend did right after. Okay. So whatever, I have to go back and see. Right? If it was a general thing, and it wasn't referencing that, which probably everyone knew that's what he was referencing, but here he said it in general. Praise God. It's a general thing. That's not a problem. Right? We're not going to look at a problem if we think he's a Christian. Doesn't matter. Right? But once person says, yeah, it's a reference to him and he's did this and whatever, that's a different issue. That's a very different issue. Right? As we said. Yeah, let me see other questions. Why is this here? Somebody asked, I'll deal with this now. One aspect of it. Could the end of the world begin? I'll do end of days. Do a little bit of end of days here. Could the end of days occur or begin because an asteroid, which NASA failed to destroy by using nuclear bombs, hit the world in 3 large spaces? All right, interesting question. There are different ways the world could end for the Messiah to come. Or the end of the world begin. First of all, we understand the world's only going to be here for 6,000 years. Right? It's another 200 so odd years. Right? That the world's going to be in existence. Now, how could it now? Forget about coming the Messiah. We're not talking about that. Right? Talking about how the end of the world could happen. Right? Now, question is, could it be because an asteroid, which NASA failed to destroy, had nuclear bombs and destroys it in 3 places? Could? I mean, is it going to be one explosion? Is it going to be massive explosions? Where's it going to come from? Your guess is as good as mine, right? Is there science behind it to prove that could happen? Who knows? Could an asteroid come with nuclear bombs? I don't know. Usually asteroids don't, right? But there are times that you hear that an asteroid or a meteor, right? It's going to come in direct contact with Earth. It's going to get through the atmosphere, whatever. And usually, even if it does, it gets smaller and smaller. It does some damage, right? Wherever it may hit, right? Well, let's say it makes it through the Earth's atmosphere. Let's say it makes it through the Earth's atmosphere intact, right? We'll make it nice and juicy here. It makes it intact. Now, talking about an asteroid, some asteroid that can be as big as the moon. I mean, you're talking like, serious size asteroid. Now, let's say, forget about nuclear bombs. Let's say you had an asteroid size, I don't know, size of the moon, or bigger. That could really create havoc. I don't know if you need need nuclear bombs, right? If it's that big, if it would be that big, let's say it'd be half the size of the Earth. Let's say. You have something of that impact coming through the Earth's atmosphere without getting destroyed, that's going to kill a ton of people and destroy half the Earth in the process, right? That certainly, So what if you had a couple like that? What if you had one the size of the Earth or bigger? And one the size of Jupiter? Yeah, well, they make asteroids that big. Let's say they do, right? Show my scientific lack of knowledge here. Let's say you had one the size of Jupiter, came in contact with Earth. Yeah, made it to the world that the Earth's atmosphere without disintegrating. Even half of it. Yeah, that would destroy the Earth. That would destroy the Earth. So, could there be nuclear bombs on it that could do it? I don't know if you even need that, but let's say could be. Yeah, I'm not denying it could happen. Right, a guy can make a nuclear bomb and someone detonates it, or who knows what, the whole world gets destroyed. Right? You had 2 that destroyed Hiroshima and Nagasaki, so you get bigger ones. Okay, it'd probably take a lot more to do it. The whole Earth, destroy it. Remember, God can do anything. Right? He can send anything to the Earth and destroy it. He can have it, he's gonna need something like, destroy the human race. All he has to do, as we saw by COVID, unleash one of these things. It could have a biological weapon. Everyone dies, right? That's how everyone dies. Whatever after the Messiah comes, that's how everyone dies. Whatever. That's not how the world dies. How the earth dies. The earth's gonna die a different way. It's gonna be destroyed in a different way. How? I don't know. Yeah, could happen anyway. Don't have to be with an asteroid, right? I don't know. Like any better answers? I don't know. Maybe. Who knows? Who knows what it could be? That was the first question. And that Jews have several years of darkness of freezing, which is caused by darkness in the sky because of that asteroid impact. So there are two things going on here. First, you got, when the Messiah comes. Then once the Messiah comes, then whoever survives, survives. And no one's going to have an evil inclination anymore. But before the world is destroyed, everyone's going to have to die. Even the Messiah is going to die. Right? Before the world is destroyed, and then you have resurrection of the dead after that. So you have two things. You have the fact that people are going to die, right? They're going to die before the year 6000. And you're going to have the world destroyed after that. That's two different things. And then resurrection of the dead should come after that. But even if that's all the case, what happens to the new world? God's going to make a new world. Very good. What's it going to look like? How are we going to live there? Whoever gets up at resurrection of the dead, what is the body going to look like? It's a different type of body. Right? Asked my Rabbi this a few times, didn't answer. Right? He just says it's a different type of body. I said, and? He said, nothing. That's it. I never met anyone been in this world to come back, so I can't tell you. So I asked him again. I said, and? He goes, I don't know. It's a different type of body. Some people say it's a real body. Right? The physical body. Right? Somehow it's going to be more spiritual than physical. Not going to have any physical needs. Unlike the Rambam seems to say, there will be physical needs. Right? It'll be normal type of body, so to speak. But it's never going to atrophy. It's going to be forever. Right? How's that going to work out? I don't know. Right? So there are two things here. Everybody dying, that's one thing. The earth being destroyed, that's something else. That's something else. Now, resurrection of the dead normally should be after the earth is destroyed. The earth comes back. Whoever gets up, gets up. Hard to imagine resurrection of the dead happens, before the world gets destroyed. Right? It should be afterwards. But there are a lot of different opinions on that. So then they decide that, return to Israel, the sun comes back, the sky is cleared. Once the Messiah comes, one of his jobs is not before the earth gets destroyed. One of his jobs, besides building the temple, his job is to bring the Jewish people back, whoever survives. He's got to bring the Jewish people back to the land of Israel. That's what he's got to do. That's his obligation. So no one's done that yet. We don't have an ingathering of exiles. We have the land of Israel, very good. Right? And some people will say that's the beginning of redemption. Okay, but who says we're going to be here? There's a medrash says we're not going to be here. Right? We're definitely not going to be here. We'll be in the desert somewhere, and then the Messiah will bring us in. Hard to imagine, but, that could be physical. That could be an allegory. But either way, that could happen. But, there are still, if there are 14 million, 16 million Jews in the world, you only have about 6.5 here or more. So you got 6.5, 6 and change or whatever in the States. It's still got another 2 million Jews all over the world. They're not here. So he didn't do it. The Messiah hasn't come because they're not here. Now, some want to say the fact there are Jews here now, that's partial to the ingathering the exiles. Okay. Yeah, that's the beginning. But the Messiah didn't do that. He hasn't been declared. How are we going to know he's the Messiah anyway? Because Elijah the prophet is going to acknowledge him and say this is the Messiah. Then everyone's going to try and figure out how to kill him, but everyone's going to agree he is the Messiah. He is the Messiah of God. So that for sure hasn't happened, right? That we know for sure hasn't happened. So the end of the world, as we know it, and the Jews coming back to Israel, two different time periods. Jews coming back is going to be when the Messiah comes. The destruction of the world will be after. Now, how close will that be? I can't tell you. Yeah, that I don't know. We have 200 and some odd years left before the year 6000. By the year 6000, for sure the Messiah has to come. The Jewish people have to be in Israel. And then after that, the world gets destroyed. Now, how much closer to the end of the year 6000? Good question. Nobody knows. Nobody knows, right? But there are two different things, right? The destruction of the world is one thing. The what do you call it? The Jews coming to Israel and the Messiah bringing them in, two different things, right? Two different things. That is that was the second part of that question. And let's hit the third part. Oh, we're the four parts there. So the third part is because the North Arctic Pole, South Arctic Pole rapidly melts because of all the carbon emissions and greenhouse effects going there, where the gases go into the atmosphere because of these impacts, and as a result, because the U.S. lose tremendous amounts of land, and other countries as well, since the beginning of the war, go mogo. I mean, is there a direct connection? Could there be a direct connection because of that? Maybe. Maybe. Everyone gets weakened, and then there's a fight for power. I don't know, but that could be. I don't know what it has to do with what do you call it, global warming and all that. That's going to cause, that's going to cause the U.S. to lose a lot of land. I don't know. I don't know if that would happen or not. There's going to be a fight for land. Before the Messiah comes, it's going to lead to the war of Gog and Magog. I don't know. In any of these scenarios, God can make it happen any way he wants. With an asteroid, without an asteroid, nuclear explosion, non-nuclear explosion. I would think, that, if God's going to destroy the world, I mean, it can happen anytime, anywhere. Sorry, in any way. It can happen with a nuclear explosion. Or it can happen with, I don't know, he takes the planet, go off its axis, go off its gravitational pull, go into Earth and just flatten it like a pancake. Take one of these big planets. That could happen. I don't know. Maybe God could open up a black hole. Black hole, and they're sucked in and just disintegrates. I can all, it's probably not so probable, right? No idea. But any of the, keep in mind one thing. There are two different things going on here. That's what I'm going to say. Any of these scenarios could happen, right? The asteroid, non-asteroid, global warming, I don't know, right? Could happen anyway. But what's the issue here? There are two things. One is the Jews coming to the land of Israel, and one is the world being destroyed. Jews coming to the land of Israel have to be before that time, before the year 6000. That for sure has to happen, right? The Messiah comes, and then either there's Om Haba or resurrection of the dead before or after, the world gets destroyed, whatever it is. Then the world gets destroyed. Two totally different things. That's what I would, that is what I would answer on, oops. That is what I would answer on that. Yeah, any other? All right, let me see. Any other questions here? 1 second. Matters of blind, you blow up your own planet. Yeah, it could happen. I mean, it's kind of crazy. Or the atmosphere is so destroyed that the level of the equator take long force at the perish. A lot of things could happen. A lot of things according to quote unquote according to nature, or not according to nature, something cataclysmic could certainly happen, destroy the world. Yeah. No question. That could happen. Right? How's it gonna happen? I don't know. All these factors involved could be, could not be. Right. But again, there are two different things. That the earth being destroyed, the entire world being destroyed, that's one thing. Right? Coming to the Messiah, that's going to be before that. That's for sure going to be before that. How much before? Right? That I can't answer, but it's going to be before that. What kind of bodies do angels have? I told you, I don't know. I don't know. It's a different type of body that seems to be more spiritual than physical. Even if, the soul comes back to that body, it's not gonna function the same way as a human body does. It's gonna be more like a physical encasing, but it's really gonna be run spiritually. How's that work? I have no idea. Right? The thing is, as was explained to me, the only thing that was explained to me was it's gonna be a different type of body we don't know. That's it. So what kind of body? Oh, sorry. What kind of body do angels? Sorry, misread it. What kind of body do angels have? They don't have a body. Angels don't have a body. The only way they can be in this world, though, is if they are in a physical body. So that could be a regular physical body, right? And there are angels that you have angels that came to Abraham, that came to tell him that his wife was going to have a child, to heal him, to overthrow Sodom, but they came in a body. They came disguised. They came disguised as humans, as Arabs, right? So you see, an angel can go into a body. So that's a regular body. Now, the end of days, resurrection of the dead, it's also going to be some sort of body. What type of body? Not going to be the same, right? What type of body? I can't answer. But angels in general, at least in heaven, they don't have a body. They don't need a body, right? They're spiritual entities. They're a spiritual force. In this world, they can't live in this world without a body. So they have to be in a human body. That's the only body they can be in. They can be in an animal theory also. They don't have to be in a human body. They have to be in some sort of body. You can have angels in bodies as humans. They could be in animals also. I don't see why not. Could an angel come back as make this like yeah, it could, why not? Why not? Come as an animal. I don't think that would be such a far out thing. But usually come back as a human body. Is each human assigned an angel? Each human has two angels that accompany it everywhere it goes. Right? The angels accompany it and record everything it does. Which is kind of depressing to think about it. You thought it was safe to read National Geographic in the bathroom, right? Think again. Just like we're recording, angels come and record. So therefore, when a person gets judged, God says, okay, bring out all the mitzvahs. The angels say, okay. Right? The angels that follow them say, okay, here are all the mitzvahs they did. Here are all the transgressions they did. Some stronger, some weaker, whatever. God does not judge a person until he sees all the evidence. And they bring all the evidence. Which, obviously a lot of this according to Kabbalah, but, we never would have understood something like that until things could be recorded. So you had Sony, right? Sony came on the map. You had records. You had tapes. You had 8-tracks, right? You remember 8-tracks back in the day, right? You had 8-tracks and different things. And now, so the Chofetz Chaim says this is just a manifestation for us on such a low level to understand at some level, what this is talking about. Because we can't imagine, like, how can we imagine something being recorded? Like, God knows, these angels are going to come and write everything down and record. Like, can't imagine such a thing, right? Something that's going to actually be recorded until things actually got recorded back in the day, whenever it happened, and then everything, technologically, expanded. People have phones today that had more memory than the first computers, right? Anyone remembers, some of the first computers came out. They like 64K, so I had 128K, so even less. So, but to record something, we couldn't, back in the day, a person couldn't imagine, right? If a person, let's say 100 years ago was going through these sources. So they're gonna say, okay, they're gonna believe it could happen. But they don't have a manifestation for a way to explain it in physical terms. They said, things are gonna be recorded, and played back exactly what you said, exactly what you did. Like, couldn't imagine such a thing. So says the Chofetz Chaim, that's exactly why you have all these things. In order to show that, to give us an idea what it is. Because see, you got something on video, unless you doctor it, which some people can do, right? Well, let's say it's not doctored. If it's not doctored, guess what? If it's not doctored, then you can't deny what you said. You said it. You can say, no, it's not what I meant. I had Webster's fifth definition. No, this is what you said, black and white. It's there. Right? So just like when a person has an out-of-body experience and they see the light flash before their eyes, they can't say they didn't do it. They can't say, I never did this. God says, what are you stupid? This is what you did. This is the recording. This is what you did. You can't deny it. Okay, so you can't deny it. You can try and explain it. You can say, no, I meant this, or I meant that. Okay, but you can't say you didn't do it. So the Chofetz Chaim says we had to be able to see it, such a weak generation, to be able to fathom what this is. The sources tell us, very good. What could a person imagine? Like, that's what's going to be. So we have a manifestation, we understand. There's such a thing as tapes, CDs, MP3s, all these things, very good. That gives us more of a concrete idea of what it is, right? So a man to the image of one angel from above, below and above. Okay, right, but someone asks if I see an angel, will I recognize it's an angel? And the answer is no, because it's not in its normal form, right? Even we won't see it in its normal form. We never recognize it in its normal form anyway, right? But it's got to be, it's usually in a body, right? So you're not going to know. At times, Elijah the prophet comes and disguises himself as different people and this and that. We don't know it's Elijah the prophet. Sometimes, some people have an inkling, but in general, we wouldn't know. We wouldn't know. A poor person comes to Rabbi Akiva. Give an example. The Gemara says a poor person came to Rabbi Akiva, and they were so poor, they slept on straw. Right? They slept on straw beds. They had nothing. And this poor person came and asked to borrow straw. He asked if they had any straw to borrow. So Rabbi Akiva was like singing. It's like, wow, someone even poorer than us. Like we have nothing, but this person doesn't even have straw. Right? But the Gemara says that was Elijah the prophet. Right? In different places say Elijah did this, he did that, did the other thing, but like from today, thousands of years later, no one recognizes it. Nobody. We have no idea. We have no idea. But, could you say, oh, that person was an angel in disguise? Yeah, some people say it, but a real angel? No. Nobody knows. Some people may have a sixth sense, for people to talk about it. I don't know if it's true or not. They might be able to sense something that's more than what they see. Yeah, that could be. I'm not necessarily denying it, but in general, for most people, we don't have a clue. Not one clue about any of this. Somebody asks, a lot of questions here. What's the main meaning of Pardes? It's Torah study. Different ways to study Torah. Pshat, Remez, Drash, and Sod. Right? Simple explanation. Homiletic interpretation. Sod means Kabbalah. And Pshat, and hints. Hints in there. What's more going on? Don't know. Why do you think the earth is going to be destroyed? Because every day, the Ramban says, others say the same thing, that every day of creation is 1,000 years. That means 6 days of creation, 6,000 years. So the Gemara says the world's only going to be in existence for 6,000 years. After that, it's going to be another 1,000 years. I don't know. It seems from that, I don't know, people are going to be like flying around for 1,000 years, and then the world's going to be rebuilt. Right? But the Ramban and others bring this down, comparing each day of creation to 1,000 years. That's where they get 6,000 years. But a lot of it, again, what is it steeped in? It's steeped in Kabbalah. Right? It's very much steeped in Kabbalah. How am I certain on that year? Again, steeped in Kabbalah. Someone said the Gaon of Vilna, Elijah Vilna, more than 350 years ago, right? The right order of studying Torah is in the order stated in Sod and then being rewarded. Yeah, let's say he said it. Let's say the Vilna Gaon said it. Okay. If you don't know the Aleph Beis, are you starting with Kabbalah? Do me a favor. You're not starting with Kabbalah. I don't care what the Vilna Gaon said. No one's starting with Kabbalah if you don't know the Aleph Beis. Do I think angelic beings had kids with humans in the time of Noah? Yeah, they're not fallen angels. It's a good question. These Nephilim, these giants, or whatever, what were they? Right? They were an angel inside of a body. Now, angels don't have drives like we do. So God said, you think you won't sin? I'll put in your human body, you'll sin. They said, no, we won't. God put them in a human body. So I'll ask you the $1 million question. An angel in a human body. Right? Not such a simple answer. right? An angel in a human body. Are they an angel or are they human? Right? There's one type of spiritual force that's similar to angels and similar to humans, and that are demons, which we don't really come in contact with anyway. Some things they do like angels, some things they do like humans. Okay. But an angel in a human body. Now, are they an angel? Can that angel in that human body, can they fly around? No. Do they have free will? Because they're in a human body. So the human has free will, even if there's an angel inside of it. So it's more like a human than an angel. So if it's more like a human than an angel, yeah, and a human has free will, so yeah, of course it could sin. That was God's point. If you were in a physical body, you're also going to sin. And they said, no, we won't. Now, why is that so obvious? Because when the soul goes in the body, you have a confrontation between body and soul. Right? The body wants you to go after the physical, the soul wants you to go after the spiritual. So there's always a constant battle. Since it's a constant battle, if you do the right thing, you go according to Torah mitzvahs for the sake of the soul, you elevate the soul, you elevate the body. If you don't go according to the soul, you go according to your base desires. Right? You go according to the body. You debase the body, you debase the soul. So now, you have a soul, you have an angel in the body. So that the angel now becomes tied up in the physical body. And it's going to have the same desires as the regular human. So if it's going to have the same desires as the regular human, then it can sin. But an angel normally can't sin. But it can only sin in the form of a body. Right? And therefore it's going to go after physical desires that it normally doesn't have, right? That's the obvious question. If it's a pure soul, wasn't in a body, that soul can't, do physical things. It's spiritual. But the fact you put it in a body, different issue. It's going to have desires like a human would. So therefore, it's not, the angel's just sitting, right? The angel's got free will. He doesn't have free will. He's in a body. Right? It's a lot more complex. I'm just simplifying it. The angel does have free will in a certain sense, and here because he's attached to the body, and the body has the effect. Once the body has the effect, he's not an angel anymore, in a certain sense. So therefore, you go after the physical body. That's what it means. Partially what it means. Where do the angels get their bodies? God puts them in a body. The angels that came disguised as Arabs that came to Abraham, they were angels, Rashi says. Rashi says they were angels. Others say they were angels. Very good. Where do you get the bodies from? God gave them a body. That's not so hard. He put them in a body. Where do you get the body from? Could have got it from anywhere. Made it himself. Could have made a body himself. Where's the knowledge of everyone having two angels come from? It's Gemara. Gemara brings it down. It's a Gemara in Shabbos. Two angels follow a person. Right? Two angels follow a person. It's a Gemara in Shabbos. What will it be like when we die? Will we be like angels? Well, we won't have a human body. We're going to be a spiritual entity. Right? We're going to be just our soul. Right? What's the soul like? Oh, good question. What is the soul like? So that soul knows absolute truth because it came from God. Right? So it's going to be something we can't imagine because we have free will. We come from this world. So, everyone would say, I've never met anyone been in that world and come back. So, we can imagine what that world is. So I can't say. Adam and Eve eat the baby of Samech Mem. I'm not going into that. Keep the simple things. Right? I'm going to give everyone, the same thing. Keep the simple things. Don't get complicated with Kabbalah or anything else. You don't have a clue what it's talking about. Don't waste your time. Don't waste my time or anyone else's time. Someone asked, I used to be in the Apostolic Church, heard different preachers claim encounters with angels. Yeah? Could that be true? I don't think so. How are they going to know? How are they going to know it's an angel? They're going to say they're on the level of Abraham, Isaac, Jacob that saw angels? I don't think so. We don't come in contact with them. Even demons. Even demons are, part angel, part human. They were human though. So yeah, they caused rabbis a lot of problems. They came in contact with them. They don't have that kind of power today. So demons we certainly don't come in contact with, and other spiritual forces we don't come in contact with. So you want to ask me, oh, they said they came in contact. They come in contact with angels? Rubbish. I also want to know what it means to speak in tongue. The what do you call it? Spirit and engulfs them. Oh, a bunch of rubbish. Yeah. Like whapping around on the floor, who knows what. Could be sorcery. Could be. Maybe they use sorcery to do that. I don't know. Right? That I don't know. But could a person come in contact with spiritual forces? So let me qualify. If they use sorcery, which anyone can use if they know what they're doing, they should. But if they would use sorcery, then they could, probably come in contact with spiritual forces. If they use sorcery, but in general, no. So what do they? So what do they say? What do they claim? I can't answer, but it's not. I don't believe it for a second. For the knowledge that I have on this topic, I'm not saying it's vast knowledge, but the knowledge I have is impossible. Impossible. Even for the greatest of rabbis today, there's no contact with angels. None. They might have low form of prophecy, i.e., we call divine inspiration. That's it. Not come in contact with angels or anyone else. Unless an angel through God came in a dream or whatever. But in general, no. In general, nobody has that quality today. Nobody. Yeah. Any other questions? All right, I'm gonna stop here. I do this someone asks 1 second, what changed when demons stopped interacting? Some say that these spiritual forces, some say when the Avram ben Avram, the great Ger Tzedek at the time of the Vilna Gaon was burnt alive, took a lot of power away from spiritual forces. And that was already in the 1800s, right? So that could be one reason they were there. Or even if not that the spiritual forces were tremendously weakened. So we don't come in contact with it. Right? One reason is because of what we said. Could be other reasons. Could be other reasons also. Someone asked, do I think praying to JC would be equivalent to witchcraft or sorcery? It's idolatry. Neither. Doesn't have to be witchcraft or sorcery. Right? It's idolatry. It's believing in someone who's a god that's not a god. Doesn't have power. Right? When you give something power that it doesn't have, it's called idolatry in general. People give money that kind of power. People give food that kind of power. People worship food. It's pretty clear. I'll probably have a lot to say about it. Next week when I'm in the States, probably have a lot to say about it, the way people eat, right? In general, but that's the way it is. People worship food, right? As well. It's not the same idea, it's more idea to idolatry. Not giving it power per se, but they worship food. No question. Right? But worshiping JC is idolatry. It's not witchcraft, not sorcery, it's idolatry. I'm going to stop here. I do this every Tuesday and Thursday, 10 o'clock Eastern Time, 5 o'clock Israel Time. Anyone has any questions, find me on Facebook at Mike Chaim Kaufman, Beyond Orthodox Conversion Judaism, OrthodoxConversion.com, Beyond Orthodox Conversion Judaism on YouTube. Or there I got videos on Q&As, ethics for our fathers, Book of Leviticus. You want to send me an email, rabbichaimkaufman@gmail.com, RBBICHIMCOFFMAN @gmail.com, whichever good. Beginning of the day, middle of the day, end of the day, and